Welcome to the CareerLab Podcast with your hosts, America's career counselor, Julie LaCroix and Joel Siegel.
We've both been having a little bit of summer.
Too much.
So, I don't know about too much. I don't know if there's ever too much summer, really. But we've had a little bit of summer. We have some exciting guests coming up now over the next couple of months. So, who are we going to meet with first today?
Today, we are going to meet with JoJo. She is a young woman who is looking for career direction. She's trying to make a career change. She's not really sure which direction to turn. I think she's feeling a little bit spread out. So let's see if we can collect her into a nice receptacle and move her forward.
Yeah, when you first said JoJo, I thought you meant the guy from the Beatles song, but I guess this is going to be a female.
It's a girl.
All right, let's get to work with JoJo.
All right.
JoJo, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So this is Joel Siegel, and you're here with myself and America's career counselor, Julie LaCroix. And we are happy to have you on the show. So we're going to get started and kind of help you with some of your career challenges. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you both?
We're both okay. We've both been having a little summer, and we're back to work now, so we're excited to have a chance to chat with you about what's going on. I'm going to swing this right over to Julie, and let's get started.
Hi, JoJo. How are you today? You're feeling ready to get some help with career?
Oh, yes, I am very ready. I need some help.
Oh.
Well, you've come to the right place, JoJo.
Yay.
I love that you say it with a little giggle, because sometimes it is a little silly, the situations we get ourselves into. What situation do you find yourself in today that we can help you with?
Well, basically, I'm 38 years old, and I've kind of I listened to a couple of your other podcasts, and
okay.
So I kind of know your lingo. And I find myself always have been in that survival mode where I'm kind of going from job to job and just taking whatever job I can to survive.
Monkey bars.
I'm sorry?
Monkey bars.
Exactly. And so I've found myself in some pretty toxic work environments or in positions that maybe were too, I wasn't qualified enough for and was, laid off. And so at this point, and I've also been in multiple careers. So at this point, I kind of have a lot of confusion and some low confidence moving forward.
This sounds like a Jim Cramer moment. Stop the madness.
Yeah, my headset came off there, so apologies, but I wanted to ask you, what stage of career are you in? Are you just starting out? Have you been working for a number of years or what?
So
I've been working ever since I've been 16.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
But luckily at this point, I'm in a position where my significant other is for a short period of time, financially supporting me so I can kind of find what I want to really do. And I don't have to finally jump from, job to job. I can kind of chill and relax for a minute and find what I really want.
And you know what, JoJo? That's a great thing. You should consider that to be a really great gift. And it's a good thing. I always tell clients who are, in that situation not to worry or feel bad about the fact that they're either in between or searching. If they have financial help from a spouse or other family member, that's good, because that's going to allow you to get closer to what you really want to do, as opposed to having to take something just to produce income. I mean, all of us have to do that to a certain degree, but believe me, if Julie and I can help you get a little closer to where you want to be, then it's going to be great.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing, JoJo, is that you're exhausted. You keep using words like, I want to find, I'm ready to stop looking. That can be exhausting. It sounds like you're not enjoying the wild, Mr. Toad's wild ride, so to speak. And, we'd love to help you kind of clarify what your strengths really are and what those natural gifts are, and help you find once and for all what that's called, so that we can help you then pursue that. How does that sound?
Oh, that's very, very intuitive of you. I'm very, exhausted and overwhelmed and kind of, I would say not as motivated as I would want to be at this point.
Okay, so that's a big, big clue for me, because what that tells me is that you are not experiencing what psychologists call intrinsic motivation, which is motivation from the inside out, and motivated skills. You're not using skills that activate your own energy to move forward. You're using skills that burn you out, that you maybe are good at and don't enjoy. And so we have to switch that immediately. That's one of the first things we're going to do. Why don't you give us a quick overview, if you don't mind us diving in? Is that okay?
Of course.
Great. So why don't you give us a quick overview of first your academics and then your basic work history, like the last 5 or 10 years.
Okay. So I have my bachelor's degree in psychology. I'm also a licensed massage therapist and aromatherapist, and I am a certified laughter yoga instructor.
Okay.
And I also just started but stopped my master's degree towards teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a few classes in that as well. So that's my academic background.
Okay.
As far as my work background, I've had many of jobs. I've worked in sales. I've worked in ambulance dispatch. I did the massage therapy for a very long time. I've worked in addiction centers as a counselor assistant, but then also as an executive assistant to the CEO. And since then, I've been executive assistant to CEOs, which was not a good position for me.
Okay.
And so then in the past 5 years, I've been doing just childcare and kind of like pet sitting stuff because I wasn't really sure what to do next because I'd lost confidence with all the executive assistant stuff.
Sure. So giving a nod to the executive admins out there who are fully employed and enjoying it, executive administrative roles tend to be a catch-all for people who don't know really what they want to do. But I do want the listeners to know that there are people who are born to be executive admins. It can be a very, very high-level professional role. And I've worked with many of them who, oh my goodness, if I had a corner office and an executive C-level job title, I would want that person watching my door. So it doesn't sound like that's what rings your bell, though. So let's see if we can pick it apart a little bit. If the bulk of your work has been in kind of these helping, nurturing roles that include teaching and counseling and pet sitting and executive administration and kind of taking care of others, it sounds like you do like helping others, obviously, and then that's validated by your degree in psychology. Which parts of it have you liked the most and the least?
The parts that I like the most are, like you said, I do have the ability to make people feel better or laugh, and I really enjoy seeing people smile or making them feel better or kind of get out of that funky area that they're in. And even with addiction, I know I have a lot of knowledge in addiction, and I really like that field. I like the connection and like the spiritual aspect of working in those therapeutic environments. Mm-hmm. And what I don't like is, I also like that it's kind of fun. Like you're never doing the same thing. There's always like something new, and it's not very repetitive.
The variety of working with people, you mean?
Yeah, the variety. You never know kind of what you're going to get, and I really like that. What I don't like is it's a little bit emotionally draining, and sometimes the work environments in that field can be, well, in my experience, have been toxic work environments. A lot of, sickness within the staff.
Politics.
And like a lot of drama and stuff like that within the staff, and like, not that great of management because a lot of people are in the mental health field because they have in their past had mental health issues or whatnot. And some of them aren't really working a healthy program themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so those are the things I don't like.
No, it's good. It's good that you can highlight that because that's true. In mental health and substance abuse treatment, we find a lot of, especially in substance abuse treatment, there's a lot of people who are growing and struggling themselves, and a lot of the staff are recovering themselves. So they've had previous addictive issues, as I'm sure you know, JoJo, and so that is kind of can be a difficulty. Although I hear that you enjoy the connectedness with people and the helping parts of it. And just to go back, Julie, and pick up something JoJo said a moment ago, because I heard you say, JoJo, that you also had kind of a negative experience with executive admin, primarily in some ways probably because of the relationship between the admin and the person you were working for. And oftentimes those relationships can be very power-driven, and they don't work for certain people who are admins because of that. And I'm assuming that's what you meant. Is that right?
Yeah, I think you're correct. Part of it was a survival thing where I kind of embellished on my resume to get these positions, and then maybe the job might have been too big for me.
Right.
And then part of it is I kind of have a strong personality, and so does the executive, and I just didn't do well in that relationship for the most part.
Right. So obviously, as Julie pointed out a moment ago, it probably won't be your niche. In terms of what you just talked about, though, about your desire to help people, doing well in that, and some of the work you've done, is that where you would like to see yourself going? Remember, part of our discussion and what Julie's going to help you with this morning, and perhaps me as well, is helping you find where you want to be. So, you've referenced the helping community vis-a-vis CD or mental health work. Is that kind of what you'd like to be doing? Why don't you take a stab at
I need to be in a profession where I feel like I'm doing something meaningful. That's very important to me. And that's with helping people either, in the addiction field or massage like I did before or whatever it is.
One-on-one?
It could be one-on-one. It could be groups. I've ran groups before. I like that a lot.
Are you a good organizer and planner?
So, I'm not I'm not very good at detail-oriented things.
Are you a licensed massage therapist?
I am.
Okay.
I did that for a long time.
Right. And so having done that for a while and being licensed, I think it's important for us to hear, what's your perspective on working as a massage therapist in terms of the future? Is that something that you feel like you've done and you don't really want to, continue? Or is that something you, under the proper or the good circumstances, you would like to go on with?
No, my body really got burned out on it.
Okay.
So, I might be open to teaching massage, but as far as doing massage, no. I also just became a certified laughter yoga instructor. And
I've never even heard of that.
That looks it's really cool. It's using laughter as an exercise, and you're kind of going into a meditative state laughing, and it's really good because you build community, you get to laugh, and it's exercise from the inside out.
You like building community?
Building community.
Tell me more about that. Hold on. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I want to also do something where I connect people and build community, because I think there's a lack of that, especially in the Orange County area. Just from my perspective, I'm not saying that's true. That's in my perspective. I would like to build some community.
Do you find that it's easy for you to connect people?
Yes.
Tell me more about that. Give me an example, please.
An example is I joined the Jewish community, and I got very involved, and I made a great group of friends, and I still continue to this day to be friends with all of these people that are great, and I get a lot of support and fun and laughter and things to do, and so I really enjoy that.
Okay, so JoJo, in that group of people who you're interacting very healthily with, that doesn't sound like survival mode. That sounds like thrive mode.
Yes, that is thrive mode.
Okay, so what is your step back and look at that group with you in it from a distance? What is your role in that group? What do you do to provide for that group? What is your output in that group?
I like to make people feel welcome, especially new people.
Okay.
I like to include, if I see somebody in the side who is kind of quiet, I like to go talk to them and make them, not make them, but just kind of encourage them to get off the wall and come join in, because I know they, are there for a reason and they want to be included, and laugh. I just try and lighten up the energy.
Okay.
And bring some creative ideas.
Okay. So, JoJo, there are two ways we can go about kind of solving this puzzle. We can just keep going the direction we're going, and I can show you what that is called in the workplace. Because it's there is a role in human resources called talent acquisition that's all about looking for people who might fit into the culture, and then talking to them and getting to know them and making them feel welcome and onboarding them and giving them orientations and running groups and making sure they have what they need to feel acclimated and included. and creating cohesive teams and making sure everybody fits together and working with communications within a new set of employees. We could do it that way. Or you could think about, when did you go into survival mode? Because usually before you had to click into survival mode, you're going to see more of your thrive mode. And that could go all the way back even to childhood, like 9, 10, 11 years old. Maybe your parents got divorced, or maybe you guys moved out of state, or something might have happened. And you might have had a really good community on like a cul-de-sac where you were the one pulling the kids together and creating the play groups and this and that. And it could mirror what you're doing in the Jewish community now that's making you feel like you're thriving again. And if you can find a touch point somewhere way back there that actually mirrors thematically what you're describing now, then we know that assigning an occupational path, assigning that feeling and that skill, that output to an occupational pathway would be really well aligned with what you're really supposed to be doing here.
No, you're right on. I did think about doing human resources and something like that, like culture person or, culture creator.
Mm-hmm.
The only kind of reservations I have is I really want to be in a good company that's doing something meaningful and is a healthy environment. So that's where I start getting overwhelmed, because I'm like, what company do I really want to be in that's healthy and are about health and wellness, and they're doing something important in the environment? And
I think a lot of companies are.
Also, I guess I'm kind of a little bit not confident, like I told you, because I've had a lot of toxic work environments.
Well, whatever you choose to do, JoJo, one thing I always advise my clients is, this comes up a lot in my executive coaching work, a lot. It's surprising how many clients say exactly what you just said. They want to work for a company that's ethical. They want to work for a company that follows best business practices, and they want to work for a company that's doing something positive in the world. It really comes up a lot. So obviously you can never tell. Even if you went through a battery of 5 interviews with a company, you can't really know. But what you can do is due diligence. Mm-hmm. And so when it gets to the point, you may not be quite there right now, but in order to avoid getting overwhelmed, one of the things I advise my clients to do is to do a deep dive into the website and into the optics of the company they're looking at, because you can tell certain things, and that may help you, to be discriminating about where you want to be.
And JoJo, can I add to that? I think that you can actually do some pre-screening just with how you present yourself to companies. Let me give you a little twist on a job search strategy that might help eliminate some of the bad eggs that you're looking to not bump into for toxicity purposes. If you write a resume, you download my master pack, or I can send it to you, whatever you want. And you can write your resume. First of all, log on to UC Irvine Extension and sign up for the Human Resources Certificate. That will advance your candidacy to consolidate your experience from administration into HR administration. And from there, coordinating an HR department, you can move into talent acquisition, recruiting, employee relations. Those would be the 3 kind of subsections of HR. And once you get your resume together, you want to go back through it, and you want to add in the laughter and the joy. So don't be afraid to use non-sterile vocabulary words in your resume. This is advice for you in this particular situation, because what you want to do, no matter what company you work for, you want to bring what you've already got, which is a certificate in laughter yoga, the ability to make people smile, bringing joy, bringing happiness. And so use those vocabulary words in your resume, and then apply vigorously. Don't worry about researching the companies before you apply to them. Apply vigorously to 20, 30, 40 companies all at once with your joyful resume, and then see who interprets that and thinks, you know what, that fits with us, or we would like to start to move our culture towards that. We could use someone like that. Let's talk to her. You're going to snag what you present. So present what you've got.
Okay. And does it matter that I don't really have, I know you said human resources.
Yeah.
Certificate.
For you, I would definitely consider professional I would log on to SHRM, Society Human Resource Management, shrm.org, SHRM, and I would start reading every word on their pages. I would start talking to people in talent acquisition, employee relations, and recruiting, not outside recruiting, inside recruiting, and meaning employed within a company, not employed as an outside headhunter, paid vendor recruiter, I mean inside of a company. And what I would do is, because you like culture, so that's the key. So recruiting and sourcing and matching a candidate to a company is the same function, but you really like the culture development and the onboarding. And so that's actually a function within the talent acquisition process. So I would talk to people who have done onboarding and employee relations and orientations and things like that.
You might need, excuse me, Julie, I'm sorry, you might need to take a little bit of preparatory stuff for that. I'm very familiar with how HR people in the talent acquisition field are sourced and hired, and so you might need a little bit of additional training. You've already got the culture part, the enthusiasm part, the warmth. You might need
and the admin.
Right. You might need, you've got the admin. You might need a little bit of preparatory work
knowledge
in
base.
the TA, so
content.
you might need to take a look at that.
And that would be that extension certificate and going to the professional association meetings 2 or 3 times, getting to know some people, asking questions, building the vocabulary. Joel's absolutely correct on that.
And the other thing is, JoJo, it's really important for you, given what Julie has helped you define as your interest area and something you're special at and something you feel is legitimately unique area for you and a career differentiator. I wouldn't limit your search for culture and community just to HR. There are other kinds of jobs and with other kinds of companies. In other words, for example, if you look on LinkedIn, you'll see there are many, many offerings for culture positions. The companies are actually bringing on people now to help them in that context. And smaller companies sometimes hire people who can develop into those roles. So there are other avenues to get hired in terms of your interest area other than just HR.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
And yeah, that's all such great information. I really appreciate it.
Can I, JoJo, go ahead.
Go for it.
The mindset needs to change, okay? Let me just be honest with you. Stop being a victim of the job market. It's huge. It's bountiful. You've got to get in control. You've got to get in command of your career. Get that certificate. Build a vocabulary. You wouldn't go to a city without a map. Build a map for what this is and get yourself seated and demand that a company that's really cool hires you because you're really cool and you bring a lot to the table. You've got to get that hat on. You do. You have to feel awe when you tell yourself that, honestly, because everybody who's going to listen to this, everybody who hears your giggle and the fact that you pursued something called laughter yoga is going to think, I want her as my culture person. That would be cool to come to work for every day. Don't you think?
Yeah, thank you. I
So,
guess sometimes I just forget that.
Don't forget that, because there are more nice people out there than there are toxic people.
Well, let me jump in here, Julie. I think the point you're making is really, really critical, and I really want to endorse it. But I want to link it to something you said, JoJo, and I know we don't have a lot of time left, but let me just try to do this, because I've heard a couple of times in your conversation with Julie and I, you talk about confidence and your confidence being down. And what Julie is really, is that true? We've heard that. So, yeah. So it's easy to get beat down. It's easy to have those kinds of feelings. But what Julie is talking about is a special strength you have that's in your personality.
Right.
It's not something you need to go back to school for.
Right.
You've got it. What Julie's trying to help you do is to bring it out, to extract it, to make it part of your professional persona and part of your professional portfolio.
Leading.
And that's right. That's a really, really cool and good idea, Julie, I think, because I think it will help you not only in searching, but also in getting more confidence, because that part of you've already got, and you can do that right now.
Thank you.
Is he a genius? Joel, you're a genius. That's exactly what she needed. You needed to yank. I said, hey, there's that thing right there, and you yanked it right under her face.
Well, we were both yanking pretty hard, really.
Get confident, JoJo.
Yes.
Be you and don't settle for toxic people. Get out there and only demand that the world bring you people who want joy.
I love that.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to have to wrap up this segment. I hope it's been helpful for you, JoJo. Have you had a good experience?
I've had a great experience, and I really appreciate both of your insights and help and points of view. Thank you.
Good. So here's how we work this in CareerLab. One of us will follow up with you, and we'll have the chance to continue this conversation, at least for one opportunity to do that, so we can do a little deeper dive than we can do here on the air and hopefully fill in some of the gaps that we weren't able to get to today. But it's been a great experience having you on. Both Julie and I are smiling because we know that you have that great character.
Absolutely. You're going to put one foot in front of the other. Walk before you run. Confidence will come. Just walk it forward, girl.
Okay.
Okay, JoJo. Thank you so much for being on our show. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was fun.
She's so cute. Something went sideways for her. And the fact that she's been able to carry through that commitment to being joyful and bringing joy to others makes me really happy and hopeful that she's going to be able to just shake off the rest of it and let it really shine. Imagine, Joel, the power that she has if she can shake off the toxicity and the assumption that toxicity is in front of her. If she can shake off that assumption and move forward with batting it out of the way and barreling through with her wide shoulders and bringing joy to her people, I think she'd be magnificently impactful to a culture.
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you opened that up. That's why I had to run in there and make sure I pull it out because that was the key piece with JoJo was your ability to see that particular part of her and to put that in front of her negativity, her lack of confidence, and the other experiences she's had professionally.
Joel, you were like a diesel F-250 that clipped your chain onto her heart and yanked it out. That was beautiful.
Well, you opened it up. It was easy for me. I just had to help, move it out. And I really hope that, we could talk for a minute about how that relates to a lot of our clients and a lot of our callers, because I think it's easy to get stuck behind.
It's normal.
A lot of the both negativity, the routine, and the denigrating experiences that people have at work.
Yeah.
And cumulatively, I think what that does is it kind of like does diminish one's confidence and one's enthusiasm and one's joyousness outlook. Mm-hmm. You were able to see that she still really had that. Mm-hmm. And when you started mentioning it to her, she kind of lit up. So that was really good. In adults, in fully formed adults, when they have a developed leisure life, hobby life, the clues are always in there. And notice we found it from her Jewish community, which is her leisure and hobby side gig, her fun stuff. Usually when someone's having toxic problems in their work life, you can find it in their fun life. And I'm glad that she was able to open that up for us. And I'm glad she was able to find that because it's, again, proof that she can do it. She just needs the right environment. She has a lot of confidence there. I wonder, it'd be interesting to talk with her about how to recreate that because she's created it there. Right, and I think we didn't have time to cover this in the segment with her, but I think it'd be important for us to do a little more of a dive with her about specifically what she can do, what specific areas, because I think it's probably fairly broad, because she's going to carry that characterogenic trait in wherever she goes, and that's going to be a real strength for her,
I would love to see her invest in herself in a way that professionalizes her ability to add value to a company in the employee onboarding process. I still think HR is a good start for her. I think it can lead, like you said, to a lot of different things. She's had to take...
You teed up a dream job for her. That is her dream job right now. The problem is she may not be able to, access might be a problem for a number of reasons. That's why I suggested she go back and take the content-specific, updates she may need to be able to get in the door, because HR is a very structured field, as you know. And so, but she could do really well there. Also, I think it was interesting, and I would explore, or you would explore more when one of us talks with her a little bit. She seemed a little bit ambivalent about the helping professions and that she really liked them, and it allowed her to do what she was good at, which is A, help, and B, build community, but also she was aware of some of the challenges in those positions. And if we had more time, we could have talked about what that meant for her, because does she really belong there or not? We don't know.
I didn't go there, Joel, because I move forward on the hypothesis. We have to make to the listeners out there, Joel and I have to make a lot of assumptions that we test when we're questioning. We make an assumption, we formulate a concept of where a client is, we ask a question, and then they either validate that we're correct and we move forward with that deeper, or we get validated that we're incorrect and then we shift it and we shift our questioning a little bit. So Joel, my assumption there was that she's not fit for the helping profession. She liked psych enough to get a major, but she's not a helper. She's not a counselor, a teacher. She's tried teaching. She's out. She went into addictions counseling. She moved over to the business side. She has done some massage therapy and some yoga instruction, but she likes to put the classes together, and she likes to kind of help others get better and structure something. She seems to be more on her output seems to be more on the admin side than the one-on-one kind of helping profession side. So I didn't want to go too deep in that because there was enough on the surface that allowed me to shift. And then also there was evidence of all of her administrative roles. So I think that if she had been more on the helping side, we would have seen more childcare. She might have worked with autistic kids. She might have been an assistant in a mental health agency as an intake counselor. I think we might have seen some non-certificated one-on-one, or she might have been in customer service more because that's very one-on-one in the business side. So just to kind of paint the picture of what I was thinking, I don't think she's a helper by trade. I think she's a facilitator more than a one-on-one helper. That was my working assumption.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty astute analysis, although she did say a couple times that she wasn't that detail-oriented. So she's got a number of different things going on.
She's just a people person.
Yeah, that are kind of competitive. And I think, to help sum this up for our listeners, one of the things that Julie and I try to do is locate the optimum professional location and spot for a person we're working with and help sort of guide them or drive them a little bit towards there. But as you could see, all of you who are listening, as you could hear rather, all of you with us today, that's not easy to necessarily get to. And so it may take a little bit of extra work. She may need to work with Julie or myself or someone else to help her get to that place.
To be able to walk it forward. And just now that I'm thinking as we're debriefing on JoJo, she did say she wasn't detail oriented, but yeah. I'll bet her a cup of coffee that if we put her in a position where her job was to meet and greet people coming into a company and integrating into a culture, my guess is she wouldn't miss a beat. I think she's not detail oriented with faxes and Excel spreadsheets and calling back people and things like that come with executive admin. I'll bet when it comes to making people happy and settling them into a culture, I'll bet she's very detail oriented.
You're right, but the problem is that it's hard to find a position that doesn't have both of those components. That's the issue. She's great on the culture and she can do that, but she needs to find a position that isn't admin or detail heavy because that's not her strength. So that's a complex search.
It is. We should invite her back in 6 months.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Okay, well, we got a boogie, but this has been fun. We've had a good time.
JoJo was great.
Yeah, and I love her name, JoJo. Just
it's
like
wonderful.
The Beatles song.
Just like my golden
JoJo in the
retriever.
Beatles song was a man and she's a woman. Okay, well, we'll see you soon, Julie.
That was fun, Joel.
Bye-bye.